For years I played the part. Lieutenant Colonel Brittany Hawking, 39 US Air Force, call sign Iron Widow. But to my family, especially my cousin Ryan, I was just quiet Brittany, the one who flew desk jobs while he held court as the local fitness guru and self-appointed authority on toughness. I grew up in the kind of Virginia suburb where backyard cookouts and inherited expectations were the currency. My family was fundamentally decent, but they were also comfortable, rooted in the familiar. My father, an engineer, was quiet and proud. My mother, the eternal hostess, favoured peace over conflict. And then there was Commander Jack Hawking, Ryan's father, a retired Navy SEAL, whose silent authority was the true north of our gatherings. I admired him immensely. I joined the Air Force not just to serve, but to earn the kind of respect he commanded. But to my family, the military was Jack's domain. My career, a well-meaning, quiet detour. Ryan was the golden boy who never left home. After dropping out of community college, he landed at a gym, trading on the idea of discipline. He wore his father's legacy like an ill-fitting uniform, constantly performing. Every family gathering I'd show up, fresh from deployments, still smelling faintly of jet fuel and complex missions, and let him have his stage. I became captain at 27, a combat-seasoned A-10 Warthog pilot. My first deployment to Bagram was a blur of long-haul missions, close air support, and the constant hum of necessary precision. My call sign Iron Widow was earned after a night mission in Helmand Province, a mission that involved flying low and hot to pull a pinned-down SEAL team out of an impossible situation. Every one of them came home. Commander Hawking knew that story, or at least the official summary. Ryan, however, remained blissfully ignorant. The pattern was predictable: burgers, potato salad, and Ryan's subtle condescension. Brittany's home, how are the paper jams at headquarters? He'd smirk at one gathering after my return from a particularly grueling rotation in Kandahar. The room would fall into that familiar, uncomfortable silence. My mother's eyes pleaded with me to let it go. Commander Hawking would give me that unreadable, neutral look. I'd just laugh it off, something like that. It was a form of self-preservation. I didn't need their validation. The respect I earned in the cockpit from my squadron, that was enough. I told myself that. But the silence had a cost. My lack of defense allowed Ryan to build a narrative where I was just the quiet girl who filed flight plans, and he was the one who really understood grit. The turning point was a late August barbecue, the kind of sweltering Virginia afternoon where the air was thick with humidity and the smell of sizzling charcoal. I was home on a brief leave between training cycles, knowing that my promotion to major was imminent. I hadn't told anyone. Ryan was holding court near the picnic table, talking loudly about some new mental resilience certification. He spotted me, leaning against the fence, nursing a soda. "Hey Brit, so what, you file paperwork for the army now?" He called out, injecting an artificial loudness into his voice to carry across the yard. I took a slow sip of my soda, wiping my hands on a napkin. "No, I fly," I said, my voice quiet but level. He laughed. "Oh yeah, what's your call sign then? Desk jockey." A ripple of nervous laughter spread through his audience. My father, standing nearby, went still, tongs suspended over a tray of burgers. My mother appeared in the doorway, her smile frozen. And then I met Ryan's eyes. I was done with the performance, I was done with the mask. "Iron Widow," I stated clearly. The name hit the yard like a shockwave. The laughter stopped instantly. The only sound was the crackle of the grill. Across the patio, Commander Jack Hawking, who had been deep in conversation with my uncle, froze mid-sentence. He turned, his body language shifting from relaxed civilian to controlled professional in a fraction of a second. His eyes locked onto mine, a cold, intense scrutiny I had only ever seen in mission briefings. I could feel him running a mental file check. He held my gaze for a long second, then slowly turned his attention to his son. "Boy, apologize," the commander ordered. His voice wasn't loud, but it was absolute. There was no room for debate, no familial warmth. It was an order delivered with the full, non-negotiable weight of 2.5 decades of command. Ryan was bewildered. "Dad, I was just teasing." Now, Commander Hawking cut in. He took a deliberate step toward his son, his posture radiating barely contained intensity. "You just mocked a combat pilot who pulled one of my teams out of a hot zone. You think that's funny?" The backyard was utterly silent. Ryan's face cycled through confusion, denial, and finally, a dawning, mortifying realization. He looked at me, then back at his father's unwavering expression. His pride buckled. I'm sorry, he mumbled, the apology snatched away by the wind. I didn't know what you did. I nodded, accepting it. It's fine. But Commander Hawking was not done. He was still fixed on his son, and when he spoke again, his voice was a low, dangerous growl. The Iron Widow is the pilot who put her aircraft in the line of fire to save lives. That, he said, pointing a finger at Ryan, is the difference between a man who talks about discipline and one who lives it.